All right, guys, we got another LAN center tour. This time it's about motherboards, and we have 3 different sets of shelves in this room that have a bunch of really cool motherboards, and some of them have some CPUs or RAM or other parts that are in them too that we'll talk about. Hopefully you caught the last video we did where we're showing you all of the video cards. Actually, why don't we have the cameraman show them just a quick glance of all the video cards so the people that didn't watch that will be like, oh my god, I gotta stop watching this motherboard video and go watch the video card, the video card video first. But let's show you the motherboards today, or right now, and show you some of the cool stuff we have here. So, I don't actually know what the deal is with this motherboard, but I know that the processor is insanely old. I think this is literally a Pentium 1, and there's like a huge latch. It feels like you're opening like a door on a submarine or something. It's so big. Giant CPU, Intel Pentium MMX Tech. I don't really know what CPU it is or anything, but just kind of cool old technology to have around on the shelves. And we're basically going from oldest to newest on these shelves, so we'll go over each one. I also just noticed that someone took a CPU out of one of these, or maybe I did, or maybe I meant to put it in something. So this is an E8400, which was a CPU that I used for many years back in the day. It was a great CPU. Some of you older folks out there that are around my age might be like, oh yeah, I had such good times playing, you know, whatever, Counter-Strike or something on an E8400, but anyway, let's take a look at, we've got a MSI P6N SLI motherboard here. So this is pretty old. I don't remember exactly which socket that is off the top of my head. We have the Asus P5ND. This is definitely like a Core 2 Duo, Core 2 Quad type of motherboard, and I'm gonna try to carefully take this off the shelf so I can show you guys some of the other parts we have on here, and also how awesome, like this is a really old motherboard, but the copper looks like it's brand new. But this has a Q6600 processor in it, so similar to that E8400. I think that college kids like me that were on a budget were E8400 people, whereas like the dads at the time, or like the people that already graduated and had a job, were like Q6600 was their jam because they had a little more money to spend. That was an insanely popular processor back in the day. And then some of you guys may remember OCZ. They were like #1 gaming memory brand back in the day. And these ridiculous heat sinks they stuck on stuff was kind of like a big fad back then. It's like Jinko jeans. Let's see what we got next. We've got, oh, this is literally my favorite motherboard in the entire room. I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of motherboards. This is my favorite. So this is the Asus ROG Striker 2 Extreme, and there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of copper. There's this goofy sticker that I haven't peeled off because I don't want to. But this had custom water loop stuff. So you could connect this to a custom water loop and cool down your VRM, kind of like the Formula series that Asus does now. So this is like the OG Formula. And then we have a really awesome CPU in here. It's the Q9550. I think there was only one CPU that was a step ahead of that, which was like the Q9560, I want to say, but we just didn't have one. So I thought this was a good CPU to go with a great board. And then we have the, let's see, oh, right here. This is a P67A G45 motherboard. So this motherboard itself isn't super special, but P67 motherboards in general are actually kind of hard to find these days. And we happen to have the Fury HyperX brand that just perfectly matched that blue theme. And I think we have an i7, yeah, i7 2700K, which if you guys remember, some may remember this, the 2600K was the i7 that most people had, and Intel did a refresh mid-cycle and came out with a 2700K to try to up their game. So that was like a little bit more rare and harder to find, and a little bit faster than the 2600K. This is a sick board. This is the Sabertooth Z77, and this was early when Asus started doing this, like I think they called it Armor. So they actually sold some of these motherboards. There's like a Griffin motherboard as well. And they sold these with and without the armor, and sometimes people would buy the motherboard without the armor, and then Asus would actually sell the armor as a separate kit. And if I remember correctly, the armor was really expensive. It was like $100. And this has an i5 2550K in it, which was also a very rare processor. I actually didn't even know it ever came out, because the 2500 was the one that's actually what I had, an i5. Similar story to what I said before. I was in college still, I think, on the i5 2500, and I was more on a budget, so I had the 2500 instead of the i7, and everyone loved the i5 2500. So when I saw a 2550, I was just like, oh, we gotta get a 20, we gotta put that in here. And then we have the Gigabyte G1 Sniper 5, and this was just like a really crazy board. It has a lot going on. There's like this thing down here where there's like a gun on part of the logo, and like a bullet hole for the eye on killer. And then we have the skull with a knife in his mouth. And then we come up here, we've got like a huge fan on the VRM, and this thing's really heavy. This is a really heavy board, it's really big, and it's also wide. So like the width from the last screw hole to the side, it's actually a lot wider. Like if you put it up to that Sabertooth board, it's like a whole inch wider. So it's almost infringing on like ETX width, but a really awesome board. And coming back up here, we have, I think almost all, yeah, not quite, but almost all Asus boards up here as well. We have a Maximus 6 Hero. I don't remember which socket that was off the top of my head. And a lot of these, you can see, like, you guys might notice this, a lot of them have some damage on them because we don't want, like, if we have a choice, we'd always like to put a damaged or broken motherboard on the shelf versus one that actually works, because it just seems kind of wasteful to put something good on the shelf, right? But a lot of them have like broken clips or, you know, bad sockets and stuff. Okay, we have a Z97 Extreme 6 from ASRock. This is a pretty sick looking board, and it has an i7 5775C processor. So another like weird story, but some of you guys out there might remember there was this weird thing that happened where we had the amazing 4th gen of CPUs from Intel, where we got like Devil's Canyon. Intel was like all about supporting the overclockers and the gamers. Everyone was like, yeah, Intel. And they came out with the, what was it, i7 4790 and the i5 4690. Everyone loved those CPUs, they were beasts. And then the next generation came out and they really dropped the ball. The i7 5775C was like supposed to be the replacement for the i7 4790, and it like kind of never made it. And I don't remember the whole story, you can Google it, but there's a whole thing. I think there was some politics involved, changes at Intel, and this, basically the 5th gen pretty much never hit shelves. I think that most of the 5th gen stuff that actually got out into the wild was in like HP and Dell machines. So that's probably where this came from. And next up we've got so we have Maximus 6. This is a Maximus 7 Hero. And then we have a Maximus 8 Extreme. I'll take this one down and show it to you guys because this thing is awesome. Really cool motherboard. So the interesting thing about this is instead of going with the black and red typical ROG color scheme, they went like kind of a gunmetal gray with orange, and it looks great. I love it. And very fat heat sinks, very heavy board. And then from the same generation, we have the Maximus, I think this is the Maximus 8 formula. Let me just double check it's Maximus 8. I do not see, oh, there we go. You have to look, oh, this one's Maximus 9 formula. So this was one of the first water-cooled VRM type motherboards, and kind of stealthy looking, kind of looks like a stealth fighter. Awesome board. These are getting high reach. And then we skipped some generations. We have a Maximus 12 Hero right there, or Extreme. I can't tell from this angle. I'm not gonna take it down. And then we have an EVA Maximus Hero. So this is also, I think this is also a Maximus 12. Maximus Z690 Hero EVA Edition. And I think a customer bought this from us. We sell a lot of refurbished motherboards, and I don't want to say who's at fault, but it was working when it went out to them, and then somehow there was some pin damage when it came back to us. So, you know, stuff happens when you send stuff to customers, and sometimes things don't go your way, right? But since it doesn't work anymore and there's pin damage on the socket, it made it to the shelf. Okay, AMD motherboards over here. I definitely want to get, this is a little bit more sparse. I want to order some more stuff, but I'll just go over what's here. And actually, I think there's some Intel stuff that got sprinkled in here as well. So, yeah, actually there's a bunch of Intel stuff that got sprinkled in. I think someone may have reorganized my shelf, but that's okay. Let's start with this really old one. I don't even know what that processor is. This is insanely old. I feel unprepared all of a sudden. Let me see if I can even read anything on here. There's something that says for home or office use. I actually don't even know what brand the motherboard is. Interesting. This is really old. And look at the back. It's like a gold PCB, like orangish gold. And then I should be able to figure something out on the processor though, because there's some writing on here. Nope, but it's socket 462. So this is probably some sort of Athlon, and it's really incredibly old. I'm gonna take it out of the socket so you guys can see the bottom. It's kind of like that Intel Pentium processor I showed you guys earlier. Wow, those pins are thick. Maybe someone that's really into old technology that's watching this video can comment below like, oh, that's probably Athlon such and such. Okay, we showed you a Sabertooth motherboard a little bit ago, and we happen to have two Sabertooth 990FX boards right here. And the funny thing is that they're different. So this one's the R2.0 and this one's not. This is like version 1, so to say. And the weird thing is that they changed the color of the heatsink. So like this is like a gold color, and this is almost like a drab green, I think you would say. Whereas this has like a bronze color and like more of like a brown on the heatsink. So I don't know why they did that. I'm guessing that the revision was more for compatibility though with CPUs that came out over time, but I just thought that was interesting to mention. This is a P6T, so this is actually an Intel board, and I'm not sure why it's on this shelf. It should be on a different shelf. And then we have a Z77, which just there wasn't enough room on the Intel shelf, so it ended up being over here. We have an MSI True Gaming Rock. It's like a display piece. It has actually two things on both. So number one in gaming on one side, True Gaming on the other. I thought this was really cool. I think my buddy Ted from Silver Knight PC sent that to us. Yeah, he did actually. Thank you, Ted. And then we have the Starfield box up here, and a Starfield 7800X 3D still in the box. And then we have some really cool motherboards up here. So this is Crosshair 6 Extreme. This is a very rare motherboard. It's socket AM4, but I think it's like a X370 or X470. I'd have to double check on that. I can't remember, but it's definitely not X570. And then we have the ROG, Crosshair, I think it's Crosshair 8, and it's the Dark Hero. So this is like the latest one they came out with, and you can see here this socket got real jacked up. The plastic part that goes over the socket like broke off, everything broke off, and then it's just all damage in here. And I don't remember the story behind this because we've had it for a long time, but yeah, it's a interesting piece of art on the wall now. And then we have two of the Crosshair 8 formula boards, and these are similar to the other formula boards I've shown you. These have water-cooled VRM, and I don't know the story behind this one, but it looks like something happened where water probably exploded all over it and got water in the socket and stuff. I have no idea. But we have two of these, and I think they both are dead. So we're just collecting them. All right, over here we have some pretty, these are all like Intel enthusiast boards, is what they used to call them, until AMD came out with Ryzen stuff that was just faster. So it's like, can't really call it enthusiast anymore. They stopped doing enthusiast boards. So this is the, sorry, I'm losing the spot on the board. Here we go. Rampage 4 Black Edition. Really sick motherboard. This thing is insanely heavy. 8 DIMM slots. And inside the socket, we have a i7-4930K, which was a really popular CPU for this board at the time. And then to step it up, Rampage 6 Extreme. I remember we were selling these boards years ago, and I want to say they were selling for $1,000 refurbished. These were insanely expensive. It looks like we're missing some shield thing that goes right here, but this is a pretty sick motherboard. And then we have another P6T. I think I showed you one a minute ago on the other shelf. This one actually has a CPU in it, and this is an i7-920. And more story time from Alex, the i7-920 was also an insanely popular, amazing processor. Another one in my college, I think I went from E8400 to i7-920. It was a really good price at the time. And yeah, I just remember, actually I think I remember I ordered the EVGA X58 classified motherboard back then, which was like $300, and it was sold out everywhere. I think I resold it on eBay for $500 and then got a cheaper motherboard, but I invested the money and made it into more parts. I think I got a better video card out of it. We have some really crazy old Intel motherboard. It's an X58 board. It's called the DX58S0. There's literally a little mini fan on one of the VRM heatsinks, And then we had some Patriot RAM that was kind of like period correct that we threw in there. It's just a cool looking motherboard. And this was from back in the day when Intel, I don't want to sound pessimistic. I was going to say this is back when Intel cared about its customers, but I'm not saying they don't care about customers anymore, but they sure used to care more. How about that? And then we have two of, I think, the same board. Rampage 3 Gene. So it was a micro ATX Rampage board and two different processors. What does this one have, if I could read it? Okay, this is an i7 930. I think this one is nothing special, and we're gonna actually build a computer with this. I think this is something that was more special. So we've got Vengeance, huge sticks of RAM on here, from also period correct, and I think this is a pretty good processor on here. It's, yes, this is an i7 990X, and when that processor came out, that was like, it was $1,000 or $1,500 or something ridiculous. So it was so expensive. Everyone wanted it. I definitely couldn't afford it. I told you I had an i7 920. It was like, i7 920 is like 150 or 200 bucks. That was like 1,000 or 1,500. Then we have a Rampage 3 Formula, and we have an X79 Deluxe. This is a sick board, a lot of gold stuff all over the VRMs. And we have a really awesome CPU in here. We have the i7 3970X, which was also pretty awesome CPU at the time that it came out. So I think that concludes our motherboard tour. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you watched the video card tour, and hopefully you're able to catch a lot of the build videos we did already. We still have more to go, so this video you're watching is something like, I don't know, 14th or 15th in the series, and it's for all of the month of March, the days that are weekdays, we have a video coming out. So I think you still have like 10 more videos to go or something like that. And the giveaway, we're doing a giveaway, of course, which will be rewarded, or not rewarded, but awarded at the end of the month. So we're looking forward to all the stuff we have going on. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys are entering the giveaway. And hopefully we get enough viewers watching this stuff to allocate more time to doing videos for you guys. So that's pretty much all I have for you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.